Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Arise and Thrive. Woo!
Hello.
It
Woohoo!
is
Christina's
Christina.
back.
Yeah, I am back, you guys. Just wanted to start off and talk a little bit about why I haven't been on for a few weeks. I have been working on some personal goals and I decided that I think I'd mentioned on here earlier that I wanted to get my real estate license. And so I was in a pretty intensive course for that and I passed my test. Woohoo.
Yay!
So
Big
yeah.
success.
Yes. And so I was just focusing on that. It was pretty time consuming and I just wanted to get it over with really. And so that was kind of all I was focusing on for a few weeks until it was finished. And then ever since it's been finished, I finished it in November, about the second week of November I passed. And then the past couple of weeks have been really busy with photography for me. So I kind of feel like I can breathe again right now. So I told Liz, hey, I need to get on. So I've missed you
Yeah.
guys and I've been listening to all the episodes and I've been caught up and just grateful I could get back on.
Yeah, we're so glad to have you back. Woohoo! And you're sporting a cute hat. Not everyone can see it on the podcast, but we are going to start putting our videos out on YouTube as well. So if people want to do more of the video thing rather than the audio thing, so you'll have to watch for that on our YouTube channel of Arise and Thrive. But yeah, we're so glad to have you back. So Christina and all of her seeking her goals had stuff come up, right? That's what happens when we're seeking goals. we start to have like emotions come up, thoughts come up that kind of challenge us of if we're going to be able to do it. And I was so proud of Christina. She's been working on studying for months now and just really made it a priority that she was going to pass this class. And anyway, so kind of partway through, she and I were chatting and she's like, I think I've kind of run into some thoughts that are stopping me. I feel like it's so hard to move forward on passing this test. So tell us a little bit about that, Christina, when you kind of felt those things
Yeah.
come up.
So, well, first I need to start off with past trauma. As a
Yeah.
child, I was the youngest of four, and I wasn't a priority. My schooling wasn't a priority with my parents. Like, no one helped me with homework. If there was a spelling test, nobody studied with me. And I was in elementary school. I just remember being quite bad at my spelling test and just feeling like, oh, wow, I'm really terrible at test taking. I remember, I don't know if it was third or fourth grade, but around that time, kids looking at my paper and, oh, you missed 6 of them out of 10, like I just remember being like kind of put on the spot and being very embarrassed. And I remember at a young age feeling like I'm not smart and I'm not good at taking tests. And then that carried over actually to high school. So in Utah, where I went to high school, they take the ACT test to get into college. And I remember it was time to start studying for that. I think I was 16, probably like a sophomore, starting to get ready for that. And I took my first test and I didn't do well enough to get into, I wanted to go to Utah State because Liz lived up in Logan. She was working up there as a teacher. And I thought, oh, and she went there and everyone that goes to Utah State loves it. It's like the best school. Everyone's like,
So
it's so
fun.
fun. And so I'm
Yeah.
like, well, that sounds fun. I'm fun. I belong in a fun school. So, but if I remember right, I could be wrong a little bit. I think you had to get 21 on your ACT to even apply. And I'm pretty sure I got 17. And so I was like, well, it's not a big deal. Like, I'll take some classes, I'll retake the test, it'll all be fine. So I took an ACT prep class of some kind after I taken the test. I took another, class to get ready for it. And I just, I had tons of anxiety for the ACT and I took it and I actually did worse. And I took it 3 times and every single time I got a lower score. I think like one thing lower. I think it went from 17 to 16 to like 15 or something. And I was just like, I could not get into a university basically, because if you don't have above a 21, you can't even apply. I actually remember applying to the University of Utah and they like sent me a letter like, no, your test wasn't good enough. And Utah State too. And I was like, oh, okay. So I just had it in my head that I don't take tests. Like I'm terrible at tests. I'm really smart in other ways. And I actually graduated with a 3.8. Like I can pass tests. I just have a lot of test anxiety.
Anxiety. Yeah.
And I think I freeze up when I'm taking them. So um now, fast forward to now I'm 35 and I have to take this test. I haven't, been studying very much in the past, whatever, how long I've been out of college, 15 years. And so I was taking pre-tests and studying all the material, and it got to where I believe it was 5 days before my test. I just like I had done really bad on another test.
A
And
practice test, right?
yeah, a practice test. And one thing, these practice tests are actually a lot harder than the real test. But still, when you do 40% on it, you're like, oh, wow, I'm not ready. And I've been studying for months. I mean, I actually studied for a full year, but then really intensively for the past couple of months. And so I was like, what? How did I do this bad? And I called up Liz and I was crying. I was just like, I'm so bad at taking tests. Like, I don't know if I'm going to pass this. Like, I just feel really, really terrible about it. And my test is in a few days. But otherwise, I felt good about it. Like, I had all the material. I'd gone through the whole course. I'd passed the course. And so it was just this practice test kind of like set me back in my old ways of feeling like I'm not going to be able to pass this test. So I asked Liz, I said, hey, I'm really feeling bad about this. Do you think that you could do an energy session, a mentoring energy session on me to kind of help me change my mindset? Because part of me felt like I'm ready, I'm going to pass the test. And then part of me was like, you're really bad at taking tests. You're not going to pass the test. And so I was having lots of anxiety. So Liz and I had a session and just kind of bringing up, these past, remembering all my spelling tests in the past that I did bad on. And then really it was just spelling tests and the ACT. I don't really remember any other tests like really being super crazy hard, but I just remember those two being hard and just really causing me like trauma as a child. And so we just kind of, what did we do, Liz?
Yeah, well, we'll go into kind of how you like reframe and release the emotions and thoughts around stuff like that. But the thing that I noticed when you called me, I was like, oh, I know exactly what this is, because I've seen it with me. I've seen it with people I mentor. And what happens is we take on like false identities or limiting thoughts about ourselves in certain circumstances. So like it could have just been, hey, I didn't do well at my spelling test, and I'm going to go home and work on this, or ask my parents for extra help or whatever. But in this situation, it was this reinforcement over and over of thoughts that you couldn't take tests, and that it's like this false identity that you're not, able to perform well on a test. And that's like a total lie. It just might have been you weren't prepared. It might have been that you didn't have the support you needed at that time, but those things can all shift. It doesn't mean that you're bad at tests. But it's interesting because when we take on these identities as a child, it's like our reality as we grow up. And those thoughts and those emotions around that negative thought really affect us when we try to move forward on things like a test or whatever it is that we have those limiting beliefs about ourselves. So anyway, so yeah, with Christina, we said, okay, we're going to help you release, and this is something that I just guide people through like this. They're doing it. They're going to release their emotions and their negative thoughts around their ability to move forward in an area. And so you can do this in lots of ways. We did it through an energy session and coaching, but you can do it through counseling. You can do it in intentional personal work, where you just go in and you say, okay, what are my beliefs around my ability to whatever it is? Some people might have a hard time with relationships and they think, oh, I always get someone who takes advantage of me, or whatever their story is. It could be hard things about you as a worker, like people don't appreciate me, and maybe you lose your job often, or things like that. So you can have a story going on in the background that will affect you for the rest of your life if you don't change the story. So that's what's so cool about our brains, is they're so powerful. And it's not just the conscious part of the brain, it's this subconscious part of the brain. So when that story is taken on when we're a child, that story continues to run in our lives for the rest of our lives if we don't change it up. So with Christina, I all we did was just go in and help release some emotions around that and reframe the thoughts. So instead of like, I can't do this, it's, hey, I can take tests with support and studying and, you know, putting in the time and also believing in yourself, right? Like there were a few elements that we just worked on. And so anyway, I thought it was really cool because well, from my perspective, you can tell more about what went on with you, but going into that, I could feel the emotions that you had around this. They were really heavy and like limiting and sad. And it was like, I can't move forward. I can't do this. It was like, I can't was kind of the feeling that I felt. And by the end, she was like, oh, maybe I can. And so it's just shifting it from I can't to I can. But sometimes you need someone else to help you do that work because you just get stuck in the same thought patterns and those emotions coming up with the thoughts. So anyway, tell me how you felt after the session? And
yeah, well, that's exactly like I felt like I almost felt like it was a part of me, like I can't take tests. I'm terrible at tests, which isn't true, really. Like, I mean, I have a college degree for crying out loud. I've taken many tests in my life, but it just
yeah.
I really think like that's just a few things that happened while I was growing up really just all of a sudden came back up and were really
Yes.
affecting me. And once I did bad on one of these pre-tests, all of those negative emotions that I and all the experiences that I had as a child just kind of like came back like, oh, I'm bad at tests. Oh, I can't do this. And so, yeah, in our meeting, I think it was only like about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. In that
Yeah.
hour and a half, Liz was able to help me kind of change the story in my mind. Like, think about, yeah, I am good at tests. Like, I can do this. And I ended up getting 87% of my tests. I only had to get 75% to pass it. Like, I did really, really good on it. And the test in Colorado is actually the hardest test in the nation because you're not just getting a salesperson test, you're getting your brokerage test. So it's taking the broker exam.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, I think really just honestly my mental attitude towards it and just kind of believing in myself made all the difference. I had put in the time, of course. If you don't put in the time, you're not going to pass it. But I had already done that. But it was more just like having all that test anxiety before the test, being like, this is gonna crush me if I don't pass it. I mean, the test is like a 4-hour test. It's not any small feat by any means. It is a big monster test. And I was just scared of it, I guess. I don't know. But yeah,
Yeah.
after our meeting, I felt like I was ready and I was kind of like, what's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is I can fail it and take it again. Like it's not really that big of a deal. And I think just kind of realizing that it's not that big of a deal if I fail it, but I think I can pass it kind of, shifted for me. And just releasing those negative emotions as a child and kind of realizing that in some of those situations, it wasn't necessarily my fault. Like when you're 8 years old and you fail your test, it's probably because, you didn't have the support of someone studying with you. Both of my kids just passed, they got 100% on both of their spelling bees and got their names on these plaques and everything because my husband and I studied with them and made sure they knew all the answers. It's not like they're some super geniuses. It's that we took the time to help them succeed.
Yeah, for
So and I
sure.
think now that I'm a parent and I realize that like, oh wow, I didn't have as much support as I would have appreciated at that age. I think that has also helped me like realizing that I'm not stupid. It just was, I wasn't in the right circumstances to
Circumstance.
pass the
Yeah.
test. Yeah.
That totally makes sense. Yeah, that's awesome. And, maybe people as they're listening are thinking of areas of their life where they get a lot of anxiety or stress. And I know for me, I've had certain times where I'm like, oh my goodness, I just need some help shifting this. And so that's what's cool about reaching out to a mentor or an energy worker or someone, someone who's trusted, a counselor. A counselor can help you change the story around something. But it just helps so much to have that support because if you don't kind of step back and look at it from an outsider perspective and deal with it, it just continues to run. And it feels like a mountain. Like you said, I don't know why I just felt like I couldn't. And it does. It feels like a crater, like that you can't get across, or like a mountain that you're that's in your way. It's like, I just need to get across it. I can't. There's something there or a wall. Like people describe it as different things. But when you have that wall, that mountain, that crater, whatever it is, and you can't get through it, sometimes just having someone help you navigate it and understand it, and then it kind of shrinks. It's like, oh, okay, it's not that big of a deal. It puts it in perspective. It helps to get, and especially emotions. Emotions will lie to us. Emotions make things feel so big and kind of scary and unmanageable. And so when there's a lot of emotional attachment to an idea, especially like when you're young, because when we're young, we kind of exaggerate or we make bigger stories about things. We do that as adults too. But but as we do that when we're young and we attach to that and it's ingrained, then when we feel those emotions come up again and it resurfaces, it's like, oh, okay, I better do something about this. And that's such a good time to just reach out and be like, okay, I need some help with this one. And you can move through it so much faster. Like, if you're spending days worrying about it and those emotions are coming up versus, hey, let's sit down for 1 hour, spend $100 on a session or however much your counselor is or whoever, and it's taken care of. It just feels so much better.
Yeah, sometimes it's just nice having another person's ideas and perspectives and knowledge to kind of help you get over things when you kind of are stuck at that wall. Like that's kind of how I felt that day. I was like, I just need someone else to help me.
Yeah.
Someone else to encourage you and kind of be
And
your
believe in
cheerleader.
you.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
believe
it's
in you.
nice to have someone believe in you. It's like, okay, they know me, they know my issues, but they still think I can do it. And it kind of helps foster your belief in self when someone else is believing in you. And that's one thing that's cool about, like with my life coaching and mentoring, I love to believe in people longer than they'll believe in themselves because that's what they need. We give up on ourselves so quickly and it's like, nah, we've got to keep with that belief that we can, like, believe and hope in ourselves that we can improve, that we can change our situations, that we can change our life, that we can change our mindset. And that's so important. So anyway, definitely if you are struggling in an area, get some help from a friend, from someone who's trained to do it, a life coach, a counselor, someone that can support you with what's going on.
Or call Liz because she's great.
Yeah, thanks, Christina.
Yes.
I have loved doing my own work, and I've relied on mentors and things for my own work, but I've loved helping other people. It is so awesome to watch people who have a dream, who have a goal, and then they're stuck or they just need help or they need encouragement and just that extra support and accountability and that belief in them, and they can move forward. It's really cool to watch. So yeah, awesome. Okay, and if you are interested in any of that, you can look up on our website and find our information, ariseandthrivelife.com. And we've got a really cool class coming up too in January that we want to mention. It's Vision for 2022, and this class it's the best of every world. We're going to talk about vision boards. We're going to talk about how to put your goal out there and visualize it to bring it in. But then we're going to have lots of action and lots of support so we can actually make these goals happen. And so you get to pick your own goal. It's so cool. So give us a couple of examples of goals that you've picked, Christina, as we've done these programs to support people or that other people have picked that have been in the group.
Yeah. Well, I remember Crystals from one of our groups. She did cleaning her basement and it was no small chore. Like it was a pretty big task that she had to do. And it was awesome to see her progress and her pictures that she posted. And another girl she had that she wanted to get pet goats, so that she could actually milk them for the nutritional value of their goat milk. And she was able to get that goal. There's just been so many, and actually we have some repeat students that will be in the course, and they've already been talking to me about how excited they are to start in January and for their goals. And I'm excited too. Like I love having this group. I haven't picked my goal yet. I'm going to do something to do with real estate. Now that I have my license, I need to get going on that. So I'm super excited as well. We'd love to have more people. We have a few more spots, and it is just a lot of fun to work in a group setting on your goals. And honestly, it's been life-changing for some of the people that have been in there. They have said to me quite a few times, like, how awesome. And they've been asking when our next goal class is. And so we're just thrilled to be doing another one.
Yeah, some of them have repeated 3 or 4 times. And it's just been so fun to watch them progress and work on their minds and get stronger and stronger in their mindsets and like stronger in their action. Like they're getting things done, they're making things happen in their lives. Some of them have focused on health goals, Some of them have focused in on like just a goal to go to bed earlier, or, just there's lots of different things that you can choose. Some of them want to organize a certain area in their home. Some of them are working on relationships. So it's spending that quality time with family or whatever. And there's so many options. And it's whatever you have felt like, I really need to do this. You pick that item and then you jump into our group, and in January, you're going to have some awesome transformation and so much forward movement. And it just feels so good. And like Christina with her studying, and she realized, oh my gosh, I got these emotions coming up. We help you in our live trainings with how to deal with emotions when they come up, with how to change your mindset so that you can move forward and really make things start shifting in positive ways in your life. So, both of us have been in our lives, we've had those times when we've just been surviving. And it's like, oh my gosh, I'm just getting by day to day. And then we've had those times when we're like moving, and movement feels so good when you've been in survival mode. It's like, yeah, I'm making progress. This feels so awesome. And that's what's so fun. We get the best people in these groups, and the group we already have is amazing, but we need you in there too, because we want to support you on your goals. So if you have ever been like, oh, I really wish I'd focus a little more on fill in the blank, right? Whatever it is, maybe it's your business, maybe it's your home, maybe it's relationships, maybe it's your health, whatever it is, come, because we will help support you, and it will shift and transform your life and give you that jump start in 2022. It's like we help train the mind, we help train how to get those emotions going, and then you can go forward and do so much on your own. But we'd love to support you and get you going, because that's what you need when you're first starting out.
And it's just so fun to be a part of something. I think as parents, we like try and get our kids involved in all these things. You need to be a part of this. And then we forget about us. And that's what's so great about this group is you get to be a part with other adults, bouncing ideas off of them. You will love it. Guaranteed you will love it. It is such a fun group, and we're really looking forward to it. And we want you also to join.
Yes. And this is, in the past, we've really only offered this class at $99. And it's a month long. You get 5 live trainings. You get that daily accountability. You get so much support and those mindset shifts and that training on how to deal with your emotions. It's just so good. And then the greatest thing is this month, we are offering it at $47. So that's like less than half the price. It is so worth it. That's like a couple of piano lessons for your kids, or, like paying for a gym membership, 1.5 months, but this is training for your mind and your life. This is going to make a huge difference if you jump in and you give it 100% and you're just there. And even if you're like, I'm not sure, and you're kind of nervous and you don't want to put yourself out there, just join. We're not going to put you on the spot. It's going to be so fun. You'll feel supported. The people are awesome in the group. So anyway, I can't say enough about vision for 2022, but just go on our website, ariseandthrivelife.com, and get signed up today. Do something for you. Cool. All right. Before we go, how about an oops moment?
Oops moment. This is a good one.
Oh, I don't know if it's a good one. It was painful. Some of our oops moments are painful.
The traumatizing, painful oops moments.
Yeah, for reals. But it was lessened by kind people. So I will say that. But yeah, so day after Thanksgiving, we were at an event. It's called Christmas in the Nighttime Sky. It's kind of a kickoff for Christmas. And they have bonfires, and you bring toys to donate for Toys for Tots, and you have potato bar, and you're sitting around visiting with people, and there's just tons of atmosphere, Christmas music. It's just so fun. And then they have, at the end, they have a bunch of fireworks, a firework display. And to get there, they have you park in a different parking lot because there's thousands of people going. And so you ride buses over. And anyway, my son Isaac and I, we're kind of movers and goers and doers. And he and I were both like, let's not wait for the bus. Let's like walk back. It's like, probably about a mile. And we were just like, we can do this. This is no problem. And so we started walking. No one else wanted to walk with us, but Isaac really wanted to run, not just walk. So halfway through, he's taken off and he's like, come on, Mom. So we're running in the dark on the road, and it was pretty smooth on the road. But as soon as we hit the corner we needed to, we were on the sidewalk, and there was just a gap where, the sidewalks didn't line up, and everyone's tripped on one of those before. But I was running full speed trying to keep up with Isaac. And my toe caught the sidewalk and I went flying, and my hands are in my pockets. So I'm like this little rocket just flying through the sky, and my chin is just like, I lifted my chin because I'm like, oh no, I'm going to hit my face. And so my chin was up, but I just skidded. You can still, if you watch the YouTube video, you can still see my little mark there. But I just skidded on my chin across the pavement, and it hurt. And I kind of got one of my hands out a little bit and it got scraped up a little, but pretty much my chin took everything. And I luckily was wearing a mask. And this mask took some of the blow, and it helped with, I'm sure, the laceration that I got on my chin. It made it way less. But my mask was totally covered in blood. It just wasn't fun. But luckily, a nice lady stops and she helped me kind of get up and over to my car. It was like 200 feet from my car. It was kind of funny. Didn't quite make it there. And then this sweet man was like, hey, we have a nurse in our group. And he calls over his brother-in-law. And anyway, he was like cleaning me out, bandaging me up, and they were taking such good care of me. And anyway, I had a lot of thoughts about this incident because you don't fall a lot as an older person, like an adult. You fall a lot as a kid. I mean, maybe some people fall a lot if they're out. Like Christina, you probably, with your mountain biking and all your things.
No, I don't fall very
No, you're kind of extreme. Or like if
you mean like once or twice a year, I have like an extreme fall, but
yeah,
not like every day or something.
For the most part, as adults, we don't have that. We're not doing crazy things. So yeah. Anyway, so I just thought about how if you start to have fallen thoughts, like lower thoughts about yourself or your ability, this so goes along with today's episode, but then things kind of start to fall apart in your life. It's like you start to feel this stress outwardly, and it's like you can feel that kind of chaos. And it all starts with that, your thoughts falling. So if you have thoughts that aren't a higher way of thinking, a higher vibration, then it starts to show on the outside in a lower way, and it causes chaos. And so just kind of watch for that. If you're kind of feeling like, why is everything getting messy or chaotic, or why do I feel this way? Start to look at where those things are coming from. A lot of times it will root from a thought that's fallen or from emotions that are fallen. It can be those low emotions, and we're feeling that over and over, like maybe I'm not enough. Or maybe I'm sad, and and it's fine to be sad. That's great to recognize you're sad. But if it stays for a long, long time and we don't shift it, then that's where things start to get more messy outside of us. And those fallen thoughts or emotions start to affect our lives. So anyway, I didn't love falling. Who loves falling? Nobody, right?
Nobody likes falling. It's the worst.
And we don't love to fall in our minds and in our emotions either, because then it starts to kind of lower our life and our progress. And so just watch. I'm super excited. I bought myself this little calendar this year. It's like positive affirmations daily. And I was like, this is just fun because I get a new one every day. But really try to talk to yourself in positive ways. You crave positivity. Everyone wants to be praised. Everyone wants to be recognized. So why not you recognize you? You're with you all the time. So if you start giving yourself more positive thoughts, more positive feedback, more positive praise about what you're doing and the successes that you're having, the accomplishments you have, you're going to feel so much better. And then it'll trickle out to all those around you too. So anyway, no more falling. Ha ha ha. Just kidding. Next time you fall, get back up quick. We all fall. But try to do what you can to build those thoughts and those emotions in a positive way. And we are really hoping to see you in our vision for 2022 class that's coming up so fast. Go ahead and get signed up while there's still a few spots left. Love you guys.
Bye.
Have an awesome day.